On D-Bags. Hope you guys are doing well. We're back here again with another episode of the Detox Podcast, episode 333 to be exact. If you're new here, enjoy music, podcasts, comedy, you should consider subscribing and hanging out with us like we're going to do today. If you hang out with us in the live chat, you can share conversations like we're having today with more people. Now, before I can introduce you guys to my guest this week, I got to talk to you guys a little bit about vacations. It's getting cold outside. It's the perfect time of year for that ski trip. Well, actually, it's not the perfect time of year. It's getting there. But if you like snowmobiling, you like the outdoors in general, you like fishing, hunting, hiking, we have got the spot for you. Alpine House 2 is a classic Swiss chalet duplex with an A-frame and log cabin interior located directly across the street from the ski resort in Iron River, Michigan. Surrounded by forests, lakes, rivers, more specifically Iron River, makes Alpine House 2 the destination for fishing, hunting, hiking, as I was saying earlier. And as it starts to snow, as I believe I had friends that live a little north of us, and they were getting a little bit more snow already this year. As it starts to snow, the skiing there is insane. Alpine House 2 has been pretty consistently booked up, especially on the weekends over on Vrbo and Airbnb. But if you reach out to them through their Instagram and tell them that Darren, Rita, or Detox sent you, they will set you guys up with a vacation. So you go to @AlpineHouse2 on Instagram. That's @ALPINEHAUS 2 on Instagram to stay up to date with new renovations, bookings, and more. They're putting a ton of work into this house. They've been constantly redoing it, adding like arcade games and other finishes and whatnot. So check them out. They're also linked down below one last time. That's @AlpineHouse2 on Instagram to stay up to date with everything they've got going on. Now, I did mention this is the 333rd episode of the show, so I've been doing it a while. And had I had our second video sponsor in my back pocket earlier, things would have been quite a bit easier. When I was starting out, I didn't know what cameras to buy, what microphones I needed, any of that stuff, and our other video sponsor, Impulse Cameras, can definitely help you out in that department. Would have helped me out a ton. Impulse Cameras is located in Oak Creek, Wisconsin's Drexel Square. They have everything you could possibly need for your projects, whether it's cameras, lights, gimbals, or even just a space to record your own content. They have all of that. Not just great gear, though. They also have hardworking and extremely talented staff that have worked in the industry as videographers, as sound engineers, etc., so they can actually help answer questions for you, guide you in your purchasing decisions, and get you gear that fits your needs at prices that actually fit your budget. If you're still not convinced, they also offer a super legit rental program. Allows you to get your hands on some amazing gear before you decide to buy, and they have monthly memberships which get you extra discounts as well as access to an exclusive Discord. So check out @impulse.mke on Instagram or impulsecameras.com to see everything that they've got going on there, and you can check the link down below in the description of this episode. So shout out to Impulse Cameras for sponsoring another episode of the show. Now, with all the church announcements out of the way, I'm very excited to be kicking it with my guest this week. I've been trying to speak with somebody that does what he does for a very long time. Let's give a wet detox welcome to funeral home owner and funeral director Jeff Kleczka is here. How did I do on the last name?
You did perfectly.
That was good.
Thank you,
right.
Darren.
That was
Thank
my
you.
Polish heritage coming out.
You did great.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
Thanks for being here. We were talking a little bit off air, and I've been telling you that I have been wanting to have somebody on that is a funeral director for a long time. You have an interesting story because your family owned the funeral home. You grew up in a funeral home.
Correct.
You're a funeral director now, but what is it like growing up in a funeral home?
It was my version of normal.
Yeah.
So there was nothing unusual about it. My mom brought me home from the hospital upstairs to the funeral home.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that was unusual. I liken it to someone that maybe grew up in a grocery store or on a farm or something like that. It was just our version of normal. But normal, the cool part was having a soda machine in your basement. I was the only kid that had that. But so much of what we did was walking through the funeral home to get from one side of the building to the other, to get to the garage, to get to the alley, to play outside.
Yeah.
And growing up, it was daily that you would walk past bodies in caskets in the chapels for funerals. I mean, from my earliest memories.
Yeah.
I remember seeing people in caskets. So,
yeah, really? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And it was just, that was
normal.
Yeah, did you ever like have questions? Like what are your parents saying? Like, hey, just so you know, this isn't normal, this is normal for us.
Right.
But you're not going to see this at, Johnny's house down the block.
We'd hope not to see it.
Yeah, I'd hope not. I mean, maybe you will.
House.
Yeah, you're bad friends.
Right. Yeah. No, and my mom and dad were great about us having friends over and letting them see the funeral home, letting them see the caskets when we had a casket showroom, letting them walk through, letting them see that. And we were not allowed to go into the room where the people were prepared. That was completely off limits until I went into the profession.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go in there when the room was empty, but if there was a person in there, we were not allowed.
Yeah.
And of course, neither were our friends. But my parents were very open to let our friends see what it was that we did and I think it was almost somewhat forward thinking to somewhat take the mystique out of what we do, and that this was normal.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That is a good way of putting it. Like it does, it destigmatizes some of the scarier or I guess touchy things that people kind of think or feelings that they have towards funerals in general. Having the soda machine too, that's pretty sick. Cool. Was it like a classic one, or was it like a gun?
It was pull the door and pull the bottle out. So the old
you had one of those? Oh yeah, hell yeah.
It was sweet. It
that
really
is pretty
was.
sick, actually.
Yeah. And on Saturday nights when my parents would go out for dinner, and if there was no funerals or anything like that, we'd move the furniture off to the side in the chapel. Me and my brother, we'd play football. And
oh,
run
hell yeah, dude.
They were big rooms.
I was going to say, yeah.
We took advantage of it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Oh, wow. That's kind of fun. I mean, kids are going to be kids. It's just cool that you're doing it in a funeral home. It's kind of wild. You make
the best of it.
Yeah.
Because we were controlled by what happened. So if we were having funerals, at night we'd have to be quiet.
Yeah.
So if there was one side of the room or one side of the building was going, we couldn't use one of the bathrooms on the in the house, and then if there was on the other side, we couldn't use that bathroom. And if there was two going, you just had to hold it.
Yeah, you gotta hold it, man.
You had to hold it.
Wow.
And you just waited and waited and waited, and we'd have to sit like church mice and not make a sound, because if we did, then Dad would call upstairs and he'd yell it. And if Dad had to come upstairs,
it's over.
It's over.
I already know it's over.
It's over.
Yeah, we're gonna be having a third funeral.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what we're gonna be doing.
He could go down, come upstairs. Lay the smack down on his kids and walk down with a smile on his face like nothing happened. He was good at it. He was really good at it. We gave him practice. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. You guys are sitting there, you're like, man, I really got to take a deuce. And somebody's just really sad. You're like, I get it. You're sad. Please. Like, I have to poop so bad. Yeah, I could see that. That's funny as hell. I grew up, my parents owned a pizza place for a chunk of time, so we would oftentimes, like, especially Friday, Saturday nights, like, there's no way that they both had to be there.
Sure.
So, like, we were just there, like, just a few feet away from the ovens and the pizza. We had like a tiny corner with a PlayStation 2 and like a little tube TV, and yeah, you make the most of it. You're doing goofy stuff. Like, they're busy. They gotta do a family business. That's what it is. Did you ever, like, you had like maybe basketball practice or football practice, you're like coming home and there is a funeral going on and you have to like enter the building like a weird way, like, or do you walk
there's a side entrance, residence, but every day when I would walk home from school, I would go right into the office to say hi to my mom and dad. So my dad being the funeral director, my mom was the bookkeeper for the business. So,
there you go.
It was really neat.
What is it? So we were talking a little bit off here, and like what a funeral director, like, you have to get certified, like you have to get licensed in that. What is a funeral director? What do they oversee? And then what is like the licensing process like?
Sure. So in the state of Wisconsin, a licensed funeral director, and that is a license that is issued by the Department of Safety and Professional Services. And so my license as a funeral director allows me to participate in every aspect of funeral service. So meaning that going to the place of death and bringing someone that has died into our care at the funeral home. It allows me to do embalming. It allows me to do what we refer to as alternative care when families choose to have services that the remains don't have to be embalmed. So it's washing, bathing, disinfection of the body, cosmetics, dressing the body, placing it in the casket, and then meeting with families to discuss and plan funeral arrangements. It allows me to run the actual funerals at the funeral home, a church, a cemetery. All of
literally
those
all of it.
Yes, every aspect.
So your dad was a funeral director.
Correct.
And he's got this business. And at what point were you like, yeah, I'm gonna do this too?
Sure. When I knew I wanted to do it for sure, I was a junior in high school, and it was something that was always in the back of my mind. And my dad had asked me upstairs at dinner, he's like, "What are you doing tonight?" And I said, nothing. I mean, because my homework was done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
sure.
he goes, well, Mom's going to iron you a shirt. You're coming downstairs. And I'm like, to do what? He goes, I just want you to see. I just want you to see. So I did that. So I went downstairs. I stood off to the side, stood by a door, and he said, if anyone walks up to you and if they ask you where the restroom is, show them where the restroom is. Because if anyone asks anything else, get someone else.
Yeah,
so, and so, you know, I just observed what happened in the evening. And at the end of the night, the family was leaving and my dad was talking to them as they were leaving, and they were just very appreciative of what he had done with them throughout the entire process.
Yeah.
And that was when it kind of started to hit me like, this is something I think I could do, because I grew up every single day hearing conversations. So so the phones rang in our house 24/7.
Sure.
So when we were having dinner, it wasn't uncommon for my dad to take what we call a death call, someone reporting a death to us. And again, we'd have to sit there still as can be, and you would just hear what he would say and how he would talk to people and how he was instantly trying to comfort them, console them, let them know what is going to be happening. And so as I got to be in high school, these things started to come together.
Yeah.
And my dad there was no pressure whatsoever, none. And he just said, you know, this is an opportunity for you. If you want it, it's here for you. Yeah. If you don't want it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it'll make you miserable if you don't want to do it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so you mentioned there, like, he gets a death call, or even the people, during the process of funeral directing or them, like, even exiting, like they're leaving, like the funeral's over with. What is like the hardest part, or maybe the most important part in speaking with families that maybe just lost somebody? Like, what is it? What line are we towing? Like, what are we trying to do there?
I think probably the biggest thing is letting them know that you're going to walk them through this process, that you know the answer to all of the questions, and if you don't know the answer, you're going to be able to find it out for them. Yeah. You're letting them know I'm here to guide you through this entire process. Yeah. And and if you can give people that confidence that they know that someone is going to walk them through this, it puts them at ease, I think, instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that makes sense, because, right, like especially if I've maybe never organized a funeral myself, like if I've never been the person having to speak with the director, knowing that I like having confidence in that this person is going to guide me through that, it is one less thing to worry about, as they're already probably grieving somebody that they cared about. So.
And typically people will only take part in planning 2 to 4 funerals throughout their lifetime. So parents, maybe a grandparent, maybe a spouse, hopefully never a child, but typically 2 to 4 funerals is what the average person will plan in their lifetime. And if you've never done it before,
you've got quite a bit more experience under your belt than the average person doing. Correct. 2 to 4. Yeah.
Right. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense. When somebody gets, like, you get the call, your dad gets a call, and then you end up taking over the business, you get a call, a death call. What is the process like from you picking up the phone to me leaving the funeral?
Sure. So I'll take this from the context of when it happens in the middle of the night. So when it's 10 o'clock in the morning and all the staff is at the funeral home, so long as we're not all spread too thin, it's a fairly simple process of people getting a few things ready. But if it happens in the middle of the night, you get that phone call, and so then you have to immediately get out of bed. You have to get dressed, put on a suit, do something with your hair.
Yeah, try to look presentable.
Right. Yeah. Brush your teeth, and out the door you go. Get to the funeral home. You have to get your van loaded up with a cot. Check for any paperwork that the person may have, and then out the door you go. So, and also wait for your on-call partner to go. So,
okay.
So our funeral home, we always send 2 people when someone passes away. So you got to wait for your partner to get there.
Wow. So then you guys so it's like somebody passes, they call you guys, let's say they're at the hospital or whatever. You guys first go get the body. We bring the body back. What happens to that body in between the time of, like, let's say it's going to take, or I guess maybe you can answer this. How long does it normally take between you getting the body and the funeral happening? Normally.
It can be, I mean, nowadays you're looking at typically a week till when to when someone passes away to when a funeral is going to take place.
Yeah.
But that's because as a society, people are just spread out more so than they've ever been before. In the beginning part of my career, it wasn't uncommon if a family had a death on a Monday that person is in state or they're having their wake on Thursday evening. So it happened relatively quick.
Pretty quick, yeah.
Because everyone lived here. So
yeah, that makes sense. I grew up in a small town. And I will say the couple of funerals I went to at that like funeral home there, it was probably a few days because I think everybody just lived there already. They were like, everybody's here. Like so and so just passed. Like let's do this Monday, and like they died on like Friday, and we're like, okay, all right,
we're
doing it. Yeah,
yep, exactly.
That makes sense though. But if more people are spread out, and people got to travel and stuff, you want to make sure people have time and notice to be able to be there.
And sadly, I'll say employers are not as forgiving about letting people take funeral, which is beyond me. But
that's insane to me.
It is.
That especially like the fact that most of us are just a number to these people, and like especially bigger corporations and whatnot. The fact that they won't just my uncle passed or my best friend died or someone, and it's like, hey man, you already used your sick days.
Right, exactly.
So suck it. I don't know. Like what, dude? I'm taking off.
Right.
That's what they say. Anytime you start a new job, you have to tell them you have 4 healthy grandparents. Doesn't matter if you do or you don't, because those are the ones they give you.
You may have to call on their passing someday.
You might have to use it. They don't care. I had somebody got written up at one of my past jobs because their like childhood best friend died, and they were like, I'm not coming in. And I'm like, why? How is that a bad, like how?
Right. Go to the funeral.
Yeah. Absolutely go to the funeral.
Go to the funeral. The funeral's there for a reason.
Yeah.
It's that event that helps people move from knowing someone when they're alive to then having their life without that person in that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, we can probably get into this a little bit later too, but I imagine just like having a funeral, having it in a specific event definitely has to help with like closure, with emotional processing, the grieving process for average person. Like whereas if you for whatever reason don't have the ability to go, or you skip it because maybe you're avoiding things, whatever, like I got to imagine, and I don't know as much about funerals as you do, but I got to imagine that's from a psychological standpoint have to be helpful.
Oh, they are. And there is so many more families these days choose like simple cremation services where there's no service before the person's cremated or after the person's cremated. And I just can't see how that is healthy. So having a funeral is that physical confrontation of death. I think seeing the person after they've died, I think it's terribly healthy. Unfortunately, very rare do the people look exactly in death the way that they looked in life.
Sure, yeah.
Oftentimes what we're hoping to do is give them a better final memory picture than what they may have seen at the hospital or the hospice. In events of tragic deaths, being able to allow them to see their family member, to say a goodbye. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah,
it is.
There's got to be a lot of power in that, I imagine. And so I guess in getting back in the process of it, right? So you get the call, you guys go get the body.
Yep.
We bring the body back. We're waiting. You're around a week. What's going on in that week as we're getting ready?
Well, usually within a day of the person passing, we're going to sit down and we're going to meet with that family.
Yeah. What's the body doing in the meantime?
Well, it all depends what the family wants to do for the type of funeral. So if they're going to have services with a viewing, then the body needs to be embalmed. Now, this is my Federal Trade Commission disclosure. Embalming is not required by law, but our funeral home requires it if there's going to be public viewing.
Yeah.
So then what is embalming?
Yeah, what is embalming?
What is embalming?
Everybody wants to know.
So embalming is the means in which we preserve the body for an adequate period of time to have a funeral. Process of embalming is several steps, and I'm just going to say under normal circumstances.
Sure.
So you're going to put that person on your embalming table in your embalming room. You're going to bathe the person. If it's a man, if they need to be shaved, you're going to ask the family, how did the person, if it's a man, how did they wear their facial hair. And then you're going to do that. You're going to do what we call setting the person's features. So that means we're going to close their mouth and close their eyes.
Has stitching? Do we stitch that?
We do. So,
Wow.
well, so for the eyes are not stitched. There's eye caps that are put into a person's eyes, and plastic eye caps, and they just they prevent the eyes from opening up.
Yeah.
To close the mouth, we use wires that are injected into the gums, and then we tie those two wires together, and that just
seals it.
Yep, exactly. Then you may have to do a little filling out in the mouth to make sure that everything is, all the features look very nice.
What do you do to fill? How do you fill it out?
Cotton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys are like plastic surgeons a little bit in there.
Well, a little bit, yes.
A little bit.
Yeah, but if someone has passed away and if they lost a lot of weight prior to their death, and their cheeks are sunken in and things like that, so we can fill some of that out with cotton. So
oh wow,
what nature has forgotten, we replace with cotton. That's one of our little sayings.
There you go.
Yeah.
So okay, so you close the features.
Mm-hmm.
Then what do we do to keep the body?
So that's when
fresh?
we have to do the injection of the embalming fluid. So funeral director is going to pick a site on the body, and so typically it's going to be the right common carotid artery. So you're going to make an incision along a person's clavicle, excuse me, and then you're going to dissect the tissue with two instruments, and then you're going to find the carotid artery. You're going to raise it to the surface, tie a string around it. Then behind that is going to be the jugular vein, and you're going to clean that up, dissect the tissue around that, put a string around that, and then you inject the embalming fluid. So the embalming fluid is a formaldehyde-based fluid into the arterial system, and then while that is being injected, you're simultaneously draining the blood out of the jugular. So you make an incision in that, and then you insert a long pair of forceps that open up that vein and allows the blood to typically come out very quickly.
So it's like almost gushing a little bit. So you got the blood coming out, and you're putting the formaldehyde in.
Fluid in.
Whoa.
The machine acts like a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell right away when the embalming's going well. You can tell by a change in color of the deceased. You can tell by the distension in the veins.
Yeah.
So those are starting to pop back up, and so all while that's happening, you're massaging the extremities to help promote the drainage of blood. And
whoa. So like, will they like look really pale, and then you put
a lot
that
when
in?
when they first come in, they're going to look very pale, and the embalming's going to oftentimes is going to help that.
Yeah.
Cosmetics are typically needed though to further that, but
Yeah. Whoa. So that's embalming.
That's embalming.
That's the process of embalming.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then what else needs to be done then to, I guess, cosmetically, like get people ready for showing?
So for cosmetics, when you're doing that, you're going to clean out people's, trim up their nose hairs, their ear hair.
Will you give them a low taper fade if they want?
If you bet,
dude.
I don't.
You wouldn't.
We have a hairstylist for that.
I know somebody that wanted to do that for a while. They were thinking about getting into that.
Yeah, and so for ladies, we have a hairstylist that comes in that does almost all of the ladies.
Wow.
So
that's cool. I imagine that's got to come with unique challenges in cutting a deceased person's hair.
Mm-hmm. Well, I say this. Unfortunately I don't get to do the embalming anymore. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But there was a time I did do it, and I'll be honest, I enjoyed it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was really.
What did you like about it?
I like having a person on the table, and then by the time you got done, you have this, I'll say, very nicely positioned body where their appearance is beginning to be restored.
Yeah.
Get a little smile on the face, it's just like anything else. You do a job, you do it well, you derive satisfaction out of it.
Yeah. You listen to music at all while you're embalming?
Oh yeah.
What do you listen to? What are you listening to while you're
back in my day, so this would have been 90s, early 2000s. Lots of Metallica, Guns N' Roses.
Hell yeah, dude.
STP.
You're rocking out, pumping formaldehyde in these bodies.
No, the organ music is just for the chapel.
Yeah.
It's not for the embalming room.
Dude,
so that's the embalmer's choice. So.
Yeah, that's kind of badass, actually. Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever, like, I mean, you don't have to, I mean, I don't know if we can get into specifics or anything. Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever, like, asked for anything kind of wild for their loved one to be dressed in?
We've seen women want to be dressed in their wedding gown. You know, a 90-year-old lady wants to wear her wedding gown from from 70 years ago or something like that. We had a Elvis, I don't want to say impersonator because they don't use that term, but I think a Elvis artist that was dressed in a jumpsuit once.
He had the whole thing. Yeah,
that was pretty wild. And there was even a couple Elvis tribute artists at the guy's funeral that was singing a pretty great rendition of "Lead Me, Guide Me." So,
wow. Okay, that's kind of sick. Yeah, that's kind of badass.
Yeah.
I had an engineering teacher, which I don't know how we got into his funeral all the time, but he would say this like pretty regularly, that when he passes, he wants his casket to be some variation of a cooler.
Okay.
And he wants there to be beer in the cooler for everybody to have one last cold one.
They're all coolers. They all can serve that purpose.
Okay.
Just so you know.
There we go. So I don't need a special one.
Just add ice.
Yeah, just add ice. There we are. What is that like with people? Or so we embalm the body, right? We took the body from the hospital. Now if they decide that they're going to go with some sort of showing, there we have to embalm it. Then what other stuff are you having to do as a funeral director to get us to the funeral, and then once the funeral starts, like what, give me that.
Sure. So we'll, just setting off the care of the body off to the side, then we got to meet with the family. So in that time, we have to gather information that's needed for completing a death certificate here in the state of Wisconsin.
What info do you need?
Well, we're going to need a person's date of birth, date of birth and where they were born, social security number, their parents' names, including their mother's name at birth, their occupation, the highest grade that they completed in school. For most people, pretty typical stuff that they can get. A social security number can be tricky for someone to find if they don't know where their parents may have kept it. But obviously the rest of those questions are fairly easy to answer. The mother's maiden name sometimes can be a stumbler if they don't know their family lineage too well.
Sure.
So we gather that information. Then we start to talk to talk about when they want to have the funeral, where they're going to have the funeral, whether it be at one of our 2 funeral homes, whether it be at their church or at a cemetery. After we've determined that, then we're going to sit down with them and we're going to write an obituary. So we're going to write that story of that person's life. So it's going to be announced when the funeral is going to take place, who the surviving family members are, and then talk about their life. So sometimes it's biographical. Sometimes we'll include how the person will be remembered. Their qualities, that type of.
What makes a good obituary? Have you seen any? Or you've probably written some that you're like, this one slaps. This one's kind of fire.
So what makes a good obituary is the family's words, is the family's recollection of that person, and the family's willingness to share that. That's what makes a great obituary. So
that makes sense. What does anybody ever come in where they're like, my dad wrote his own obituary? So here's his. Really?
Yes.
That's kind of baller to write your own.
It is. And actually I would say when we do see that, it's more often a lady than a man. I think ladies know how they want to be how they want to be remembered.
Whoa. We got the performative male epidemic going on right now. I know you got younger sons, so they know about that. So maybe our generation will be the first generation to start writing our own obituaries.
Well, and now we're actually starting to introduce like ChatGPT into writing obituaries. So I guess I would call our case management software has a closed version of ChatGPT. So we'll put that obituary into it. It'll take all of the person's biographical information and put out something that still may need to be tweaked, but can put out something nice.
Basic,
but it doesn't go to the information that's in there. Doesn't go to feed the larger learning.
We're not training the models on that.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Wow, dude. You don't think about. I feel like there's so many things, and again, when you say like most people are only going to go through 2 to maybe 4 funerals where they're involved in the planning in some way. There's so many little things you don't think about, like the obituary or where we're going to have it.
Flowers, a luncheon afterwards. How many death certificates do we need? What do we do with Dad's estate? How do we handle this? So what happens with Social Security? Those are all the things that we are walking families through when someone passes away.
Wow, dude. That is a lot. So So we start figuring out, I figure out what kind of flowers I want. We sign these death certificates. We figure out where we're having it, etc. Like day of stuff, like the service. What does that look like normally?
Well, for us, again, if it's going to be at one of our funeral homes, we're getting that person into the chapel, waiting for the flowers to come, arranging them, rearranging them, and then when more flowers come, rearrange them again.
Yeah.
Families will come in, they bring in their picture boards, they bring in the things that speak of the person's life and what they enjoyed to do, getting all those things set up and ready, getting maybe earlier in the day, getting printed materials ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow, yeah. It is. Yeah, it is. It's an interesting thing because I think, we're kind of like demystifying it a little bit, but it's sort of just like if I were to put on any other kind of event, but it has these specific, we're talking about death and there's specific restrictions and whatnot with what we're going to do. How do you feel about open caskets versus closed caskets?
Big believer in open caskets.
Really?
Very big believer. Absolutely. So, and again, I think that's the physical confrontation of death. It allows people to say a goodbye. It allows the community, distant family members, to say a goodbye to the person that's passed away. And I believe that's therapeutic. I believe that's helpful in the weeks, months, and years after a person passes away.
Yeah.
In our profession, we are seeing a very strong trend, and we have for many years, of people going away from those type of services.
Yeah.
And I think maybe also kind of questioning the value and the need for having a funeral. And I like to say, well, you question the need and the value for the funeral because you've always had the benefit of the funeral.
Yeah.
So when you've always had this thing, and it seemed maybe somewhat robotic. Well, when someone died, we're at the funeral home 3 days later, we're at the funeral home at night, the next day we go to the church, then we go to the cemetery, then we're eating Polish sausage, and then we're moving on. It seems somewhat just rinse, repeat anytime you had a death in your life.
Yeah.
But I believe it helped people. It helped them in the days after the funeral. Now I got to go back to work.
Yeah. If something works, why are we switching it up?
Cost.
Sure.
It's funerals are not inexpensive.
That makes sense. Yeah.
They don't necessarily have to be overly expensive either.
Sure.
Families have the opportunity to completely control costs. We don't see families purchase the same type of caskets in 2025 that we saw in 1995.
Yeah.
You'd walk into that room and you'd open that door and there'd be 50 caskets in all their glory. Copper, bronze, stainless steel, mahogany, cherry, pecan, walnut, oak. It was,
You've seen some cool caskets.
Oh yeah.
I imagine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The best caskets, my favorite caskets are the caskets that no families ever pick. Not because they're expensive, but just they look cool, and for some reason they never took off with people. But
Interesting. How crazy can you get with a casket? I feel like.
Well, right now you could easily spend $40,000 on a casket. You can, and I shouldn't say easily. There's only a handful that cost that much.
Yeah.
But that's a
what do they got in that?
48-ounce solid bronze. That's hand polished. Takes about 24 man hours to hand polish this.
Yeah.
If you were to look at maybe say Michael Jackson's funeral, he was in what's called a Promethean. It's even got a cool name.
That is a sick name.
It is.
Wait, I need to see that. Can we pull that out? I want to see Michael Jackson's casket.
Yeah,
it's
awesome. As shiny as a.
Yeah, dude. Wow, that's crazy. That's something I've always wondered about with the caskets is like, they do look incredibly expensive. Like they look like they can get crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they're heavy. I've never had to hold on. I was at a funeral a few years back, and my dad was one of the people carrying. They carried a casket up to yes, that's what it's called. And they did that, and it looked heavy. They had 8 guys on it, so. It looked like it could be kind of heavy.
Well, and then they are. So your wood caskets, can be upwards of 300 pounds, 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Now put a 200-pound man into that casket.
Holy shit!
That's a lot of weight, even divided by 6 people.
Press that. Yeah, we got I don't know. It's not loading here. We'll give it a minute on the Michael Jackson casket, but we might come back to that. But that's interesting. So do people? What's the price range on like give me the cheapest casket
Sure.
all the way up. I mean, we know that there's a $40,000
Yes.
casket.
So caskets beginning price at $1,190.
Okay.
And they go on up to obviously that ridiculous amount of $40,000. But right now we are seeing on average people are spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $2,500.
Yeah.
But obviously you can spend less.
Yeah.
I think the one benefit that we have seen with some of the changes in our profession is that it very much used to be a product driven profession. So
we're like trying to get the
we have been moving away from that, where a funeral home wants to, ensure somewhat of their profitability in the services that you offer, not the box that they pick. Because they all serve the exact same purpose.
Yeah.
So a $1,000 casket does the exact same thing as a $40,000 casket. Displays the loved one, and if you lift the handles, it'll get you to the cemetery.
Yeah.
So
wow. Yeah. Does anybody ever like come with like they just like build their own out of plywood and they're like just put them in this?
I've only had one build your own. Had one build your own, but we do have families that sometimes will go to the internet and they'll buy from these monks in Iowa that make their own caskets.
Whoa, Temu caskets are going to go crazy. You're going to start getting Temu caskets. That's going to be awesome.
If you know what, if that's what people want.
No, dude, that you can't let them do a Temu casket because it's
okay,
gonna.
So
it's gonna.
What's a Temu casket?
Do you know what Temu is? Have your kids told you what Temu is?
This is where I'm gonna profess my age.
That's okay.
And I don't know.
Dude. Temu is this it's like Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
If Amazon was the sketchiest website you'd ever like, it's like you're buying it from. It may or may not even show up, and if it does show up, it's probably gonna be a different color. Mm-hmm. Not the material you bought in it, like a shirt. People buy like fast fashion, or they buy like cheap like knockoff Legos or knockoff toys. You can like buy anything on Temu. You open the app, they give you like free 5 things. They're like, hey, you just won free 500 coins or whatever. You can spend that on whatever, and it's like you're buying tank tops and etc. Terrible stuff.
Okay.
Super fast fashion, super bad. But I'd be interested to see if there are Temu caskets. That would be sick. This is Michael Jackson's casket. Okay. Wow. Is it this look familiar? Any of these?
I think what's the one to the right with the red interior down right there.
Oh yeah, pull that up.
That is that's a Batesville Promethean.
That's pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty sick. I can't lie. Wow. That's like that's probably heavy as shit.
Oh yeah.
That's gotta be so heavy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wow. I've seen them at the factory in Indiana, but one has never darkened our doorways.
Yeah. I'd have to, dude. What if somebody who was like super rich put it in their will that like you're using all my money for this. Nobody gets. When I die, put the money in the grave with me. I want my casket to take up that cost. That'd be crazy.
That would be my favorite customer ever.
That would be great for you. Yeah, that'd be great for you.
That person would be my hero.
That's crazy. Yeah, 40,000 is a lot, man. Does anybody ever ask to be buried with some weird stuff?
Oh, sure.
Yeah? Like personal belongings?
Personal belongings, can of beer, pack of cigarettes, lottery tickets. Yeah. You name it.
Dude, that's probably why the Powerball keeps rolling over. Those guys.
It's somewhere down there.
Yeah, the winning numbers are in there. I got to start grave digging. That's insane. That's
one of the funniest things. I love this one. Had a family one time at the end of the funeral. It was just the family, and the son pulls out his checkbook, and he wrote his dad a check for $1 million and put it in his suit coat, and then he was buried with it. And he said, my dad always wanted to be a millionaire, so I made my dad a millionaire. So,
that's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, so,
that is kind of beautiful.
So,
wow, dude, that's sick. What, when people, it got me thinking, because I was obviously joking, like, oh, I would just have to dig up. I got to start digging up these graves for these lottery tickets. What is like? Do you guys have your own grave diggers, or is it like the cemetery do that? How does that work?
Yeah, cemeteries dig their own graves, so they have. And I'll say at least here in the Milwaukee market, all the big size cemeteries have their own staff, their own equipment for that. If you get out into the rural parts of the state. So there's going to be a local excavator that's going to come in and dig the grave, and then when the service is over, fill the grave back up.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, that's got to be an interesting gig too, I imagine, being a grave digger. Yeah.
Again, not what it used to be when families, with families choosing cremation and things like that. So instead of bringing this big backhoe off a trailer, they're bringing a shovel and
yeah. I guess you got like a jar. That's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
That's a little bit easier to dig. We got a question in the chat here. It says, what is the average cost for a funeral? Roughly.
Sure. Average cost for a funeral. So I'll break it down into like maybe 3 different types of services. So the full traditional funeral with a viewing, casket, burial in the ground, flowers, luncheon, you could be anywhere from $12,000 to $16,000.
Okay.
On average. It can be more, but it also can be less,
yeah,
depending on what you do. So if you're going to do a cremation, then followed by a memorial service, so meaning that cremation takes place first, and then rather than a casket, we have an urn in the front of the room. A funeral like that might be around, again, all in, flowers, luncheon, do all that.
Yeah.
You might be around $8,000 to $9,000.
Okay.
And then a simple cremation, that can be anywhere from $2,500 to $3,200.
Does anybody ever go, we want to see him for the service? And
Yes.
then you cremate him after.
Yeah, we have a lot of families do that.
Yeah.
And they actually rent a casket for that.
Oh, whoa.
So, yeah.
You can rent a casket too.
So a rental casket is a casket that has been and will be used again.
Yeah.
We replace the interior.
That's crazy, yeah.
We replace the interior every time that we use it.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of cool because the way they do this is the interior of the casket is like an insert.
Yeah.
So, and then when you take the person out, you drop down the foot end, so the little foot end drops down,
and then
you
slide
slide the person out, and then that's the container that they're cremated in. So, because the body has to be in some sort of container when we cremate them. The floor of the crematory, it's made of concrete, and so we got to have something that slides in pretty easy.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense. Wow, so like maybe I could lease that Prometheus one or whatever, the Promethean.
That is not an option for renting.
I want to rent the Promethean when I die. That's what I want. Yeah, dude, that's interesting. Yeah, because I think that would be. I've heard once there was I don't know if this is real. You can tell me if this is real or not. Somebody was telling me that you can like have your body like grounded up and they like planted you with a tree or something. Is that that's a thing?
Composting is something that's newer. It's just not legal in the state of Wisconsin yet.
Oh, wow.
So the state really is what allows families to do certain things or not.
Sure.
So in the state of Wisconsin, means of disposition. So disposition is how we dispose of the body.
Yeah.
So there's burial in the ground, mausoleum entombment. So those are those buildings above ground that caskets go into.
Yeah.
Cremation. And then you can donate your body to science. We don't allow in this state for what is called resumation, which is water-based cremation. So water-based cremation is when you put someone into a chamber, and then the chamber is filled with water, certain chemicals, one of them being lye, and then essentially all of the flesh and organs are basically driven off the body, and then that all goes down the sewer. It's treated, it's sterile, goes down the sewer, and what you're left with is the skeletal system, which is what you're left with after a flame-based cremation.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're left with nearly the same thing. It's just how do you get there? Do you get there by intense heat and flame or water?
Why? Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble or anything. Why don't they want to have water?
I don't know. I just don't know why they don't want to do it. I mean, some people think it's controversial. I really don't. As long as the intention, the intention is a respectful disposition of the body. Who cares?
Yeah, and they're dead. Man.
Well,
I mean, yeah, we want to respect the body, but also like again, if we're trying to get to the same place,
right?
As long as I'm not,
there?
disrespect. I'm not making a diss record or like slapping them around. Like I'm just doing the other version of this thing.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's the tree thing. Interesting. I didn't know it was real or not, so I'm glad you cleared that up that it is. That's one that I feel like that makes a ton of sense to do, because it's like, I imagine, is it hard for cemeteries to like acquire more land and like the zoning and whatnot? I mean, eventually we have tons of land in the U.S. We're fine, but hypothetically, and there would be a certain point where it'd be like, all right, we got no more space to bury people.
Sure.
You know?
So in an urban area like Milwaukee, we do have a handful of full cemeteries that they have no more room to bury anyone else.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of cemeteries that have plenty of space.
Yeah.
It's really the cemeteries wanting to cater to these new ideas. So what I mean by that is green burial.
Yeah.
So green burial is natural burial in the ground where the person is not embalmed by a formaldehyde-based material. They're buried in a 100% biodegradable casket or cardboard box or even just a shroud, and they're just buried in the ground, and it's allowed for a natural return to the earth. And there's some cemeteries too in the greater Milwaukee area that allow it in special sections. There's one beautiful cemetery out in Verona that has a green burial. It's a green burial cemetery.
Yeah.
And it just allows for the natural return of the earth. I think the cemeteries in the Milwaukee market, I think all of them have the opportunity to offer this to their families. Yeah. You eliminate the burial vault. You eliminate the chemicals.
Yeah.
You maybe have to charge them a little bit more because you're going to have to go back and dress that grave for a couple years as the person's just kind of decomposing in there.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that they could offer, and it's unfortunate that they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. It'd be a cool, just another option, you know. Like I feel like whatever would make people the most happy, and if that's what's going to make the family feel the best, and I feel
and again, what's meaningful to them. It's what's meaningful. So
that's the other thing too. I feel like you've probably gotten to see a lot of different people, a lot of different families either grieve or celebrate life in different ways. Has there ever been like an experience that like opened your eyes, or you were like, wow, this is really really touching? I'm sure most of them, all of them probably are, but is there anything that like sticks out maybe when you were like early getting into it where you were like, well, this is cool, this is beautiful?
I wish I could point something would pop in my head right now that stands up, but for me, when people cry, I always like that. Not that I want people to be hurting.
Sure, yeah.
I don't want them to be going through this immense pain, but just the love that you have for a person, and that invokes such an emotion that you need to cry.
Yeah.
I always think that's a beautiful moment, and that's always touching.
Yeah.
And eulogies, getting to really hear about a person's life and really hear how they're going to be remembered, what made them the person that they are. Those are touching. Those are beautiful. So a great eulogy makes a funeral. A bad eulogy. Yeah.
Who gets to do the eulogy?
So typically that's going to be can be a family member, can be a friend.
Yeah.
Whether that be a son or daughter of the deceased, a grandchild, niece, nephew, co-workers, things like that. So
I would be bummed from whatever afterlife I would be in if somebody fumbled my eulogy. If it was not like that better be good. Yeah. You know, or be. Just practice it once before you do it. Don't. I haven't been to that many funerals, but like, you go to like a wedding nowadays, and people will they read the whole thing off the phone. I'm cool if you want the notes there, you want to glance, whatever. But like, we got to do a little bit better public speaking, where it's like they're like, me and Jessica have known each other since, and you're like, dude, put something into this. This is their wedding day.
Right.
They picked you to be the bride, the maid of honor or the best man. If you get picked to do somebody's eulogy, don't bomb that.
Right.
Come on.
Right. Put something into it.
Yeah, try. Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah.
And that's one thing. If someone's talking about doing a eulogy, I will say, don't do it off the cuff.
Yeah.
Write some notes down. You don't have to write it all out.
Get some bullet points.
Get some bullet points. Exactly.
Something, man.
Have something to go to.
Yeah.
The moment might catch you, and you want to be prepared.
Yeah, that's good advice,
Yeah.
especially because I
Yeah.
feel like you
Yeah.
could get up there, and then even too, I think the interesting thing about funerals, at least in the few that I have been to, is like it does bring people together in a such a different way than like a wedding that's curated.
Yes.
A lot of time, right? Like I picked who's coming to my wedding. You don't pick who's going to your funeral.
Correct.
You know, you could have touched people's lives in different ways, and different people are going to show up for that. And like, yeah, you know,
That was one of the best things about my dad's funeral. So when my dad died in 2009, he had a great funeral. Beautiful mahogany casket.
Yeah.
We don't pay retail.
Yeah. The same.
Individual handles,
Yeah.
hand carved. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
The line for people to pay their respects to my dad, to visit with my mom, me and my siblings, it was out the door.
Yeah.
It was out the door, and it was great. And there were a handful of people that I had talked to at my dad's funeral that their only connection to us was my dad helped them when they lost a family member.
Yeah.
Your dad helped me when my daughter died.
Yeah.
Your dad helped me when my wife died. You know, there was a handful of people, and just, you know, when they talked about his kindness and his compassion, it was made for a really cool funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had to leave an impact on you, I
Yeah.
imagine, getting to hear that. That's special. That is special. And you were
It
in a
is.
unique position as a funeral director, especially being in the same place for as long as you've been. Like, you're going to touch so many different families' lives. That's crazy.
And it truly is a gift to be able to help people during that time. It really is.
It's an intimate thing.
It is.
You know, being able to do that.
Oh, you become part of their family. I mean, you very often can become a part of their family for a 3-day to 2-week time period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah. You sort of become like one of the. You're in the starting five now.
Yeah.
You know, for the next couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like a 10-day contract.
Yep.
That's like what are like the differences in funeral types? We were talking a little bit off air, like, because different religions have different norms and whatnot. I'm sure different ethnicities have different things. People even just, random people will just have different things that they want. What are some like key differences of types of funerals that you see?
Sure. So with Catholics, so a Catholic funeral mass is very much like your Sunday mass at church. It has all of the same elements, but obviously the prayers and readings are specified for the person that passed away or for the funeral rite itself.
Yeah.
And those, oftentimes they can be easier funerals to run. Funerals that can be challenging and in a good way. Sometimes are like Buddhist or Hindu services.
Sure.
Sometimes there might be a little bit of a language barrier between them, and you got to have your head on the swivel, because now we're going to take the person from the funeral chapel. Now we got to go over to our cremation center, because they're going to watch the person go into the crematory. They make a whole big ceremony out of that, and with their incense and their offerings and everything. It's
Wow. Does anybody ever like make up their own? They're like, you know what? I'm not particularly religious. I just want to do, this is my idea. And they just start spitballing with you.
Oh yeah, you bet.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
I have had plenty of families over the years that have basically taken different prayers from different religions and things like that and kind of mash it together and
I got a remix.
Exactly. Yeah, I got a remix. Exactly.
So it's interesting. That's because like I'm not particularly religious. I think I was raised Catholic, I believe, but I'm not personally. But that's something I'd always wonder, because a lot of funerals I've been to, like there is obviously like religious undertones and whatnot. I just always wondered, like, I guess I've never been to like an atheist funeral. Do people, maybe they just give that up when there's a death? They're like, you know what? Actually, it's time. Maybe we should believe in something now.
Now what?
Now what? Yeah. That's interesting. That's funny. What do you think is like one of, or maybe a couple of, the biggest misconceptions about like funeral homes or even a funeral director?
Well, I think one big misconception is that we prey upon the public. And we're preying upon their emotions during a difficult time. I'm not going to say that at some point in our profession that there were people that maybe used predatory sales practices on getting families to pick a certain type of casket, things like that. Yeah. It has happened, but I think that's something that's completely in the rearview mirror of our profession.
Yeah,
because it just doesn't. Those things just don't have the same value that they did at one time in our society, and that's totally okay. That's totally okay.
Yeah, that is. I will say that is something I think I've definitely heard in like public, like just people talking about funeral homes and whatnot. But it is interesting because like we're talking earlier too, like it is such the event of a funeral, of having that specified time, is therapeutic in a lot of ways. So like, and it was going on for a long time before maybe necessarily we even had like a monetary exchange going on for that, because it worked for something. You know, whatever you derive as it working is for you to decide, but it worked for a reason.
Sure.
You know?
Well, and there's always been a means of preserving the body going back to Egyptian times.
Oh yeah.
There's always a means to preserve the body. It really didn't become something in this country until the Civil War. Embalming really was born out of the Civil War, when the rich wanted their sons who died on the battlefield, they wanted them transported back home to be buried. So embalming was born out of that, so you could get the person on a train, get them on a buggy, and get them back, and so that they could have a funeral.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the local cabinet makers or furniture store owners, those were your first casket makers.
Oh, all right.
So the dude that sold the casket, then all of a sudden the profession started coming out of that, where he became the de facto person to care for the body. And then like the genesis of our funeral home actually was started out of a furniture store on 5th and National here in Milwaukee.
Really?
So the family that owned the funeral home before my dad, there was 5 generations of their family that was in the business, and they were furniture store owners, and they just kind of got into that trade, and then that took over and closed down the furniture business, moved to funeral home, and
that is wild. I mean, they had to be like the people that just make your table and your chair, and then somebody came in and was like, actually, dude, this is gonna be weird, but could you make me a box to put my dad? And they're like, you know what? Yeah, this is what we're gonna do.
That's
and then however many generations later, here we are.
Here we
That's
are.
crazy.
Yeah,
that's nuts, man. What we have a couple other things I want us to get to. Oh, what's the worst day of the week or best day of the week in your opinion to have a funeral? 'Cause that's something I think about, maybe more than I should be thinking about, but I kind of think you should do it on a Monday.
Okay, why on a Monday?
Because Mondays already kind of suck. So it's like, if you're going to be sad all day because I died, we just do it on a Monday.
It can't get any worse.
It can't get anywhere. Like the rest of your week will be better. Sure. Hopefully by the weekend you'll be over it.
Sure. We have a lot of families that choose to have funerals on Saturdays. And I think a lot of people choose that because people typically don't have to work around their work commitments. True. So that's a very popular day for funerals. Thursday nights, though. Thursday night Thursdays are a big night, you bet. So
interesting.
And people do that so that way the funeral is behind them, and then they have the weekend to start to get back to.
Yeah, see, that makes sense for me. That's another thing too. I would be bummed. And I've gone to funerals on Saturdays. It is a little bit of a bummer, a little bit of a vibe kill for the rest of the weekend. Especially if you're somebody, if you work like a regular 9 to 5 and you get 2 days off every week, you're using one of them now. Sad.
Well, you're doing that, but then, one of the other, I don't want to say problems with it, but, then people have to worry about, oh my God, Johnny's soccer game or my friend's dad's funeral. What do I do?
God, yeah.
So
do it on a Thursday night. Do it on a Monday
Thursday
night.
night.
Yeah.
Yep.
That in my opinion, that's how I feel about it. Okay. So we talked a little bit about we talked about the process. We talked about worst day there. I have a couple other things I want to get to. Something that, or I guess this one I want to ask. What is your favorite food to have at a funeral? Or what's a funeral food? Because I've heard that's something I've heard. I've only been to a couple funerals. The food has always been really good.
Oh yeah.
Why is it so good? And what do you like at a funeral?
Polish sausage.
Yeah?
Of course.
Some
Polo
kielbasa?
Some Polish sausage, kielbasa, yep.
Yeah.
There was one restaurant in Milwaukee, they used to make mock chicken legs. And that was so good. So yeah, some good roasted chicken.
Yeah.
That helps the grieving process. Sure
does. The funeral potatoes too?
Funeral cheesy potatoes, yeah.
Cheesy potatoes. God.
Yep.
I want those today.
Yeah,
I don't need to die to get those. I want those now.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Funerals do have. I don't know if it's because maybe you're already grieving a little bit. You're it's like stress relieving to eat the food or whatever, but it does always hit.
It does.
Like I went to a funeral for like a friend of mine's loved one, so someone I didn't really know that super well, but just to be there for him, to like support him while he was going through that. And I wasn't even super connected, but I just empathetic person. I'm still sad, I guess upset with him, and
hungry.
And dude, those potatoes are so good. They're so good. So people get to choose what kind of food they want. Did people ever like, we want pizza? We want pizza at the funeral.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
A lot of times, so there always used to be like these, I'll say these banquet style restaurants, and there still are quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And they're just popular because they know how to serve a large amount of people in a very timely manner.
Yeah.
But very commonly, people on smaller gatherings, they'll go to the local pizza restaurant. So in the Bayview neighborhood, there's a favorite.
I was gonna say,
pizza
I feel
restaurant
like
that people go to. So
yeah. Interesting. Okay. What? So we got favorite funeral food. What's something that you think people need to know about when it comes to funerals in general, that you would like people to, if they don't get anything else from this episode, just something that you'd like them to take away about funerals?
Sure. Funerals can be affordable. That's really probably the biggest thing, is that funerals can be affordable, but they're also very helpful.
Yeah.
They are absolutely an event that is going to help you get through what oftentimes can be the worst period in your life.
Yeah.
Receiving, seeing the person, receiving the hugs, well wishes of your extended family, neighbors, community, people that knew your loved one that you may not even know.
Yeah.
That's really what's going to carry you through the weeks and months and years to follow.
Yeah, that's got to be. I mean, it is special. It is special. Have you given any thought to what you'd like at your funeral as a funeral director?
Yeah. So I want to have a viewing.
Okay.
I want to have a viewing.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I'd like to be in a nice mahogany casket myself. My son, that's a funeral director, he knows which one.
He knows. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
I hope to maybe lose a little bit more weight lose some weight before I, to
Sure.
fit in nicely.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Just enough sickness to get me into the casket.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
is there something you don't want at the funeral? Like, is it a specific kind of flower, a specific? I'm sure there's a million different options people can do to customize their funeral. Is there something that like needs to be there, or you're like, please, I don't want that?
Not that I can think of. Oh, I don't want On Eagle's Wings played at my funeral mass.
Oh, yeah, no.
Heard that one.
Probably a few times.
A few times.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah. You got to have. I want aux at my funeral.
Yeah.
In my playlist.
And then afterwards, so when we are having the Polish sausage, maybe some roasted chicken.
Yeah.
There will be an open bar at my funeral for one specific type of drink, my drink, a Jack and Diet.
Oh, all right.
If you want to have a Jack and Diet, that's on me.
Yeah.
You want something else, that's on you.
Yeah.
So that'll be at my
That's
funeral.
fair trade.
So,
yeah.
So Jared, if you're listening, please remember that.
Yeah. We got it on tape now,
Yep.
so he's got no excuse.
And my wife too, I should really say.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I'm going to go well before her.
Oh man, hopefully, I don't know how to respond to that actually. All right, is there anything we haven't gotten to today? I'm looking at my notes. It looks like we touched on pretty much everything. Is there anything we didn't get to, funeral related or otherwise, that we need to get to?
I would have to say one of the challenging aspects of funerals and the unsung heroes of our profession are the people that have to go out in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Those are the unsung heroes.
These
That
are
was
the people
something
that go pick it up.
I had to do from 1992 to about 2005, 2006,
Yeah.
being on call every other night, every other weekend,
Wow.
getting calls in the middle of the night, not every night, but enough, and then having to be at work the next day, getting that phone call. I did my internship at a funeral home in Marshfield. So I left my dad's business for a year because I was 21 years old. I graduated mortuary school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is it. I am at my final destination at 21. I couldn't handle that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I scooted out of town, go work for this guy in Marshfield, and man, when he would call me at in the middle of the night, it went like this: Jeff, we have a call.
Oh no.
Greg, who is my on-call partner, he'll meet you at the funeral home, and it was kind of reminding me of the movie Ace Ventura.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When he goes, Ventura.
Yeah.
Yes, Satan.
Yeah.
So that was like Satan waking me up to say,
Yeah.
you got to go to work.
It's time.
It's
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That is wild. Yeah. You just don't think there's so many things when it comes to like the passing of somebody that you just don't really think about.
Right.
You know, if you're not in that world.
Yeah.
And so like the fact that like somebody does have to come pick this body up. Like for us to have a funeral, they're not just going to teleport out of this bed.
Yeah.
Into the casket.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
And that is so when I have phones at night, and so when we have a death, I'll take the call from our answering service, and then either talk to the family or the hospice nurse.
Yeah.
But I don't have to get out of bed for that.
Yeah.
You know, I can.
You got people for that now.
But then I got to call the poor people that have to
Oh.
go on that, and
Yeah.
then it's hi Jeff, and it's hi whoever, and
Yeah.
so-
Man, that sucks. They probably have PTSD from seeing your name pop up.
They do, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh yeah, that's the worst. It's like if you set up a song as your alarm,
Mm-hmm.
that'll ruin a song for you real quick. I don't know. I've done that a couple of times on accident. I'm like, why did I do that? Now every time that song comes out on the shuffle, I'm scared. Probably you call these people, they're probably like, damn it, dude, it's fucking Jeff again. That's great, dude. Yeah. Well, shout out to them. Is there a name? Do we have a title for that, or is it just you're the guy?
Those are our funeral director apprentices. So those are the people that are oftentimes, more often than not, going to school to become a funeral director.
Yeah.
So they're on their learning path, and so funeral director apprentice is the entry level position.
Yeah.
And so it's low person work and stuff like that, but we all did it, and actually now it's even better for them. So I had to do that for almost 14 years now. Where like at our business, it's grown considerably. Our funeral directors aren't on call at night, so they don't, for the most part, they almost never have to get out of bed in the middle of the night. So there is like something of like, get done with this and get done with this fast. So you can, you can move up. You can move up, exactly. And get a good night's sleep.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time
you're
to
welcome,
answer all
Thank
my
you.
questions and hang out with us a little bit. I feel like I know a lot more about funerals now, and I hope people listening or viewing get to or feel that way as well. Before we wrap today, anything you want to leave the people with before I wrap us up? Are we good?
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
If any of your subscribers have any further questions, and if they want to get them to me through you or
we got you guys linked down below.
Oh, yeah,
so
great.
you guys are linked in the description. So if anybody you're curious about just checking out the different services that are offered through your guys' homes,
if they just got a question about funerals or cremations and how that's done, and if they want to know how it's done, we're pretty much an open book.
Yeah.
So
and you guys have got it on the website. They can reach out straight through there. So
absolutely,
they should absolutely do that. I want to say thank you to everybody who maybe tuned in live tonight, as well as people that are viewing or watching days after over on Spotify or here on YouTube. I want to say a quick shout out to our patrons as well. They should be up on the screen right now. If you guys are interested in getting behind the scenes access to extra videos, extra podcasts, as well as a series where I break down how I mix, master, write, record every single one of my songs, go to patreon.com/Darren Rita, and you can help support the channel for as little as $1. Also, a quick shout out to Alpine House 2 and Impulse Cameras for both sponsoring another episode of the show. With all that stuff out of the way, this has been the 330